Hello and welcome to the 90th minute. I'm Rhys Livingston and I'm joined with Jack Farrell this evening, and we will be going over Rangers and Danny Rhol. Jack, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Ready to get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so just so the viewers have an insight of what we'll be talking about this evening, we will be talking about Rangers' recent results, where they are just now, what we've learned so far, and what's next in the future. We will be mentioning about the strong recent League One, disappointing European results, and off field issues such as refereeing decisions in the recent Old Firm. We'll be also going over key matches and lessons we've learned so far under Danny Rhol, a player review, and upcoming challenges that Rangers face. Also, we will be reviewing the fan media reaction. So yeah, let's get started.
Let's do
We'll
it.
just give you a quick explanation so far. So Rangers' new head coach is Danny Rhol, for those who don't know, and he was appointed after the dismissal of Russell Martin. Jack, what do you think of Danny Rhol so far?
I think he's not had a he has had a good bit of time now. He's had a few games under the team, but I think he never really got to start the way we'd have wished, as he only had a couple of days to prepare for the Brand game. Um, he's starting to settle in now, as you can see in recent games. I think he's still to find his form in Europe, but I think he's a good appointment, and I think he'll do good things for the club.
Yeah, well, um, you said it how it is there. Obviously, domestically, he's done well, and we'll touch on that later. European, obviously, the Brand game, as you said, very difficult to come in and get a result when you've only been in the building for a number of days. The Old Firm game, obviously, the controversial decisions, but we'll touch on that. But no, I'm alongside you. The supporters just need to back the manager, and I think he's doing so far. He's doing what a lot of supporters like to see, and kind of getting behind the fans. You've seen it at Dens Park on Sunday afternoon after the 3-0 win. He had a bit of celebrations with the fans, but no, domestically Rangers sit fourth in the Scottish Premiership just now, which it's not good enough. Obviously under Russell Martin, poor domestic form, a lot of poor results, and that. Would you like to touch on anything there, Jack, but domestically under Russell Martin?
Well, as you say, it was nothing short of a poor performance to the start of the season. It's definitely nowhere where the Rangers team should be. Um, but I think a lot of the time it was just more the arrogance that came alongside them. The way Danny Rose come in, and it's about the team, it's about like the team, it's about the fans. Whereas Russell Martin, he was more of a kind of, he was in it for himself, so to speak. But I definitely think that Russell Martin wasn't the man for the job for me. Definitely not.
Okay, well, a lot of people have said that as well. Russell Martin won the job, and I must say, um, after Russell Martin's dismissal, there was obviously talks of Steven Gerrard, who was very close to joining Rangers, Kevin Muscat, who was very close to joining Rangers, but Andrew Kavanagh and the 49ers Enterprises decided that Danny Rhol was the man for the job, and when Danny Rhol was appointed in the media, I did see a wee bit of negativity before a ball was even kicked. Some saying that he was just another Russell Martin or championship manager that wouldn't live up to expectations. But, you know, as I said previously, um, the Rangers supporters need to back the manager and they need to get right behind him. And obviously, so far, the domestic form in the league has been drastic improvement. To go to Easter Road and get 3 points, it's difficult, but he's done very well so far, um, domestically in the league, and the Rangers supporters will be thinking, long may that continue. Okay, so we'll move on to some recent results now. The first one I'll touch on is the most recent match, and it was a 3-0 away win against Dundee. Would you like to touch on that there, Jack?
In my honest opinion, I think that's the first time from in the league this season that we've seen anything close to the Rangers squad we're used to. We've seen a team that can string passes together again. We've seen three excellent goals, in my opinion. Um, we've seen a lot more passion, a lot more spark on the pitch. Everybody seemed to want it more. A lot more hard work, and I think that, as I said, that's the first time I've seen anything close to what I'm used to seeing Rangers as like we're both only 18, so we've not had the experience that our parents might have, like the 9 in a row.
Yep.
So we're used to we've not won many trophies in our lifetime. It's sad to say, but it's true. Um, and I think we're starting to get back to where we need to be. It's a definitely a step in the right direction.
Okay, well, yeah, 100%. And to summarise that up, for me, it shows an encouraging performance on the road. How many times have Rangers went away from home and conceded? That's a big talking point as well. And to go to Dens Park, where Dundee took 3 points off Celtic not that long ago, and for the first 15, 20 minutes, I thought Rangers were exceptional. I think after half time, the intensity dropped a wee bit, and I think that's maybe just with changes. Obviously, Yusuf Chermeti coming on, who we'll talk about later on in the show. Maybe Danny Rhol thought that was the time to get his confidence up, and I do think the intensity dropped after the first half. But no, we'll touch on that. Um, another important match was just on Thursday there against Roma in the Europa League. Rangers lost 2-0, and it's continuing their European struggles and bottom of the group. Would you like to touch on that?
Oh yeah, it's important for us to be getting points on the board, especially at Ibrox on a European night. It's definitely something that we have been doing in the past. We've proved we can do it on many occasions. Uh, I don't want to take anything away from Roma. They're an excellent side. It's one of the best in Europe by far. But I think it's definitely a tough game to go into, and especially after the Old Firm, it's not great timing. Everybody's tired, playing 120 minutes of football, something not they don't do many times a season, if not any. But it was definitely a tough game for them all. I thought there was a good few points where we could have got results. Um, we did miss countless opportunities where we could have capitalised, but I think that's something Rangers need to start doing more, is capitalising on the opportunities and fully take advantage of them rather
Yeah,
than sit
yeah.
back and
Well,
absorb.
I do agree with you there, Jack. Look, you said that clear as day there. Against these top European sides, you need to take your chances. Yusuf Chermiti had a few chances, and look, let's be honest, it was men v boys on the evening. Roma walked all over Rangers, and it was the first time that I seen a team come to Ibrox and control the game so much. Obviously, domestically, Rangers have majority of possession, but Roma came and bossed it from start to finish. And look, as you said, Roma, fantastic squad. And I think for the Rangers side, that they're lucky that it wasn't a Spanish or a German side, because they would have took more than two off them in the evening. And I think Roma, you know, after the two goals went in the first half. The second half, they just stepped off, they played the ball, and me and you were there, and we said it ourselves, it was really boring. They looked a lack of intensity, a lack of effort for some players, and as we said after the match as well, you're going to go into Roma and you're not expecting to get anything 3 points for the game. Okay, but you want to see a wee bit of fight and effort for some of the players. Would you like to touch on that there?
Yeah, exactly what you're saying. I'd like to see a bit more fight and effort. I think a lot of the times, if Rangers go a goal down, heads drop, they just think for me, I think it's more they're thinking, what's the point after the first goal goes in? and that's definitely not the mentality you can have to be a Rangers footballer. Like, you can't go into a game thinking it's a good team, so we might as well not try as much. Like, we've proved it. We've taken points off many teams. We've won against many good teams, and I think we need to just believe in ourselves a bit more, fight a bit more, and be more determined to get a result in these big games.
Yeah, well, obviously, the tifo before. I mean, if that doesn't give you any sort of motivation walking out, that was something quite remarkable. That tifo. If that doesn't give you any sort of confidence to go out and put Roma under a wee bit of pressure, then I'm not sure what will. Um, Look again with some of the players out there. Um, I'll touch on Yusuf Chermeti. I, they two chances, he's got to at least get one on target. I thought the midfield was overran. Even at the back, it just looked like the structure hadn't gone to plan. And the two goals, so easy. The first one with the corner, it has to be defended better. And the second one, it's so easy. The Argentinian just slotted it into the bottom corner. And look, they've got the likes of Pellegrini, uh, Dovic, Coney, some really talented players, and obviously Paulo Dybala missed out, but you could really see the quality and the team effort that they had. It's a great team, but yeah, it's 0 points, and you're going into these next European fixtures needing to win, or else you'll be put out.
Absolutely, it's a competition that doesn't like. It's not sympathetic at all. If you don't take your chances, it will punish you every chance it gets. So it's just something we need to work on. We need points on that table.
Great, and look, let's not sugarcoat it. Rangers have came up against some average sides so far that you really should be taking points off. The like of Strumgras, the like of Jenk, Brand. I would expect Rangers to be getting at least 6 points out of them three fixtures. And it's just, you look at it, all that European success we had before, Rangers had before, getting to European finals, beating the likes of Leipzig, beating the likes of Dortmund, um, putting up a fight against Bilbao at Ibrox just last season. It's just not the same side. But we'll move on and we'll talk about the recent Old Firm fixture. And it was a 3-1 defeat after extra time and another major setback.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a setback. That's a trophy we've missed out on. Um, but I think that game was purely a lot more than just like the 22 players in the field. That was like it was some shocking refereeing decisions. It wasn't a great game start to finish. Don't get me wrong, it was better than the first Old Firm of the season. I think that was one of the worst ones I've ever watched, but it's still nowhere near as entertaining as it should be from both perspectives. Like, I've spoken to Celtic fans after that game, and they've came out and said the exact same thing. It was boring. It wasn't a great watch, but there was a lot of controversy in that game. The red card. It just shows that there's still aggression in an Old Firm, but it's not a great quality of football right now to watch, to be honest.
Yeah, and we'll touch on the red card decision later on in the show, but let's talk about the match itself. Um, Celtic disallowed goal very early on, and I just think after that, I'm not sure how it didn't get any sort of, belief back in that you've just been let off majorly. And it was a mess from start to finish. The free kick, the defence was all over the place, and Rangers were lucky. But just shortly after that, they go up the park, and as we've touched on before, against teams with quality, you need to take your chance. And another use of Termeti miss, and it's actually that one's easier to score than it is to miss.
Absolutely. I think, as you said at the start, we'll touch on Shametta later, but I think there was a lot of chances that could have drawn us level. when we went behind before the Tavernier penalty, and there was a lot of chances that could have put us in front. And I think if we did go in front at any point in the game, I think Celtic heads would have dropped because they're not in great form either right now.
Yeah, 100%. And look, the Johnny Kenny header in the first half, it was so easy again. The marking for from the defence, it's just simply not good enough. And it's safe to say, if it wasn't for Jack Butland in the afternoon, it could have been a lot more. But we'll touch on players later. James Tavernier, we'll touch on him just now. A player that gets a lot of criticism. And he dug Rangers out of the ground just before the 90th and took it to extra time. Would you like to talk about that just there?
Absolutely, don't get me wrong, he's a great player. He's been here for 10 years now. Done a lot for the club. I think it's just he's getting past the stage of his prime. Like, he's starting to deteriorate. He is starting to get older, and I think Rangers fans need to accept that. He's not. He was never going to be the James Tavernier that we remember forever. Like, not for the Phillies Rangers career. He's going to start to deteriorate at some point. And as he is getting older, he's getting slower, yeah. And in my opinion, he is still a great player, a decent leader. Personally, not my choice to be captain in that squad, but that's not down to me. But I think he's still got quality. It's just not as much as it has been.
Yeah. Look, again, we'll talk about refereeing decisions just shortly. Nick Walsh gave it. Tavernier slotted the penalty away. You're down to 10 men, but you bring it back, and the extra time, very, very, very poor. And Callum McGregor makes it 2-1. And I think just after that, Rangers chucked it. And just after the interval, Callum Osmond seals it with another one that's got to be defended better. It's a ball swinged in, and he just slides in, and nobody's picking him up. But look, the 10 men, obviously, you go into the 100 odd minutes, you're obviously going to see the impact of the 11th men on the park. But for me, Rangers had to do a lot better. And I think players such as Nasser Giga shouldn't have lasted as long as he lasted. Yusuf Chermeti as well. And I thought Bojan Miovski was very poor when he came on. He didn't really offer much, but we can talk about that later. We'll move on to the referee decision now. Starting off with Teo Asgard's red card. I don't think there's any argument that there's a red card in that. Do you agree?
Absolutely. He has had his studs in there. He's definitely caught him. There's no doubt about it. I think it's just the decisions that came after that made the decision on Telo Asgard more controversial than it had to be.
Yep. Look, we talked about aggression in these matches. You need controlled aggression. It's a really, really silly tackle, and the referee had no option but to give the red card. I don't think the ball should be in the air at all. I'm not sure what he's doing. He's playing like, personally, he was playing like he was playing out the back garden. And when you follow through like that, no matter if you win the ball, it's going to be a red card. And just after that, there was a tackle from Derek Cornelius. Do you remember it on Johnny Kenny?
I think so. It's come through the side of him.
Yeah.
For me, it's a rash tackle. Like, then again, it's not really. I don't really know what to say on that one because isn't a great challenge. Definitely seen better challenges in football, but is it what it should have been? Probably not.
Well, Jack, the old saying is it's the old amber card. Look, it's not a nice tackle whatsoever, and I think if his legs a wee bit higher, it's a red card. The studs are showing, but again, he's got away with one there. But no, it's one of the ones. It's an amber. You either get the yellow or you get the red. It's just on the day. It's just your luck, that one.
Yeah.
But the SFA came out and agreed that it was a yellow card. So at the time, I thought it was a red. But just also shortly after that, a big talking point, and Austin Trusty and Jack Butland. Can I have your opinion on that, please?
For me, it is a red card, and I think the only reason he has gotten away with it is because his studs aren't shown. And just previously, that Telo Asgard's studs were shown. That's the talking point of sending them off.
Yep.
I think if Trusty's studs are shown there, it's 100% a red. It should have been a red for me, but I think the only thing that would have confirmed it and persuaded the referee to send them off is if the studs are shown.
Yeah, I agree with you. Look, it's one of the ones. Austin Trusty doesn't need to make the challenge. Jack Butland's got the ball in his arms, and it's in a say, it's not to be competed for. Jack Butland's got the ball in his arms. Austin Trusty's made the decision to lead in with his studs, and it doesn't matter the force or the speed that he goes in with. As soon as you make connection with your foot to the head, it's a red card.
Absolutely.
And I think again, we talked about the later on stages in the match. When it's 10v10, it's a complete different game. That extra man makes such a crucial difference. And look, Nick Walsh made his decision, and we await to see what Willie Collum and the SFA says. I know Patrick Stewart's had a meeting with him, and I think he would like to take it further because he wasn't happy with the explanation that Willie Collum gave him. But it's just one of them ones that I think personally it's a red card. But we'll move on to Dyson Maeda and his persistent fouling throughout the match.
I think he was just trying to get in our heads a bit, draw the fouls. That's what he's trying to do, but he's got away with far too many for me. I think at that point it's more than he deserved more than what's happened to him. Because it was constant. It was pretty much, in my opinion, every chance I got, it was there. Far too much for me.
Yeah. Look, it's not the only time this has happened, and I think in old firms, you see Dyson Maeda, obviously you need that sort of eagerness to get the ball. It's what these games are about. But I think after the third, the referee's got to show a yellow card, and then he raises his boot on Mohamed Diamande, which, it could be a second bookable offence, but again, it's down to the referee. Um, and no, Dyson Maeda, he makes a big influences to this game, his speed and his intensity. It puts defenders under a lot of pressure, but I feel like he should have been yellow carded earlier on in the fixture. And then the penalty decision. Jedi Gassama takes a shot. Anthony Ralston, it's a handball. The referee gives a handball. I'd like to hear your opinion on it, please.
Well, from my viewing, I was watching it on the TV. I wasn't there, so I did get the direct viewing, all the replays and such that people in the stadium would not have got. But personally, for me, his hand is on the ground. He's on his way
Okay.
down. There's nowhere else to put it. As a Rangers fan, am I going to complain that we got a penalty and managed to equalise? No, I probably wouldn't. But for me, it's not a penalty unless he gives the card as well. You can't give the foul and not give the card. You have to give both or neither.
Yeah, well, look, again, it's one of the ones. He's fallen down. Where do you want him to put his arms, Um, and obviously the referee gives the penalty. It's then looked at by VAR, and it's almost like that double jeopardy of, do you give the yellow card? Does it affect? But again, look, these old firm games, one decision can be so costly. A penalty, a yellow card, a red card, it can change the game completely. Now, Anthony Ralston was booked in the match, and if he was given the yellow card there, he would have been sent off. Again, you know, these factors, do they influence the 90 minutes? After the 90 minutes, when you go into that extra time, does that give Rangers the confidence to then go? And it's a 10v10, nothing to lose. But again, there's no excuse for the intensity that Rangers showed in the 19 to 120 minutes. It was simply not good enough. But that's that for the matches so far, recent results. We'll move on to player review. So, is there any players in general that you've took a liking to so far this season?
Since the start of the season, it has been Gassama. He's definitely been a fan favourite. He's
Okay,
scored some unreal goals. But since Danny Rhol has come in, I've started liking Mikey Moore's footwork, Connor Barron's desire to play,
okay.
and I've liked a lot of the stuff Cornelius is doing right now. Like, he's definitely a fighter for the team.
Yes. Okay, well, yeah. With Roll now in charge, it looks like there's a sign of a bit of reset in the formation and structure. We've seen it definitely domestically. In Europe, not so much. But there looks like there's a wee bit more energy. And of course, to go to Easter Road and Dens Park and go away with 2 clean sheets, it's something that Rangers haven't seen a lot of. I think Mikey Moore, the number 10 through the middle, it suits him a lot better. Um, and yeah, Derek Cornelius, you touched on, he looks like a real cool player at the back. Um, at the Hibs match, um, it was in the League Cup. There was an incident with Martin Boyle that he seen early on that he got caught over the top. But I think after that mistake, he's kind of found his feet, and I do think he's came onto a wee bit of a game. Can I have your opinion on Danilo, who's been playing a lot of minutes so far under Danny Rhol?
He has been playing minutes, but he has been unfortunate with injuries since the last maybe a year or two. Um, he's definitely doing decent under Danny Rhol. I could see a lot more from him if we decided to start him every week. I just don't know if he is ready to be started every week.
Okay.
Week in, week out. I don't think personally any of our strikers are fit enough to play 90 minutes week in, week out, sometimes 2 games a week.
Okay, yep. Look, he took his goal very well against Hibs, a goal versus Kilmarnock. But again, for me, I think he needs an arm round the shoulder. He's a player that needs an arm round the shoulder and lots of confidence. I think when he plays with somebody up front with them, it gives him a wee bit more confidence. He can drop off a wee bit. Um, but no, again, you touched on the strikers, and we'll talk about the striker situation in just a moment. But all over the field, I think there's been a wee bit more confidence, and Rangers look to be playing a wee bit more of attacking fluid football. But yeah, let's talk about strikers. So, Yusuf Chermeti, Bojan Miovski, we'll touch on them. Have you got anything to say about them?
Um, to sum it up in a word, underwhelming would be definitely up there because you've seen what Miovski done for Aberdeen. Incredible striker, went to Girona. I'm not sure if I think he had a club in between Girona and us.
Okay.
Um, he's not lived up to the expectation as what we were promised it would be. Yusuf Shamete. The less said about him, the better. But I'll try and kind of keep it short for him. Um, Also underwhelming. He's not taking his chances. He's not got the fight for me. He scored a good goal to be fair against Dundee United, but I don't think he's got what it takes to be a Rangers striker, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, look, the 10 million price tag, he can't choose how much he goes for. He can't choose his wages, but what he can choose is a bit of fight and determination. And I feel like what I've seen from him so far, he's got all the attributes to be a good player for me. Um, he's tall, he's quick, and he should really be able to hold the ball up well. But as you said, he needs to take his chances. And when, Cyril Dessers, we'll talk about him, 50 goals in 2 seasons, it's very hard to replace that. I think it was a poor decision to get rid of Dessers, in my
Absolutely.
opinion. But no, Yusuf Chermeti, he needs to find some sort of confidence. And again, we'll talk about the substitutions with Danny Rhol, the likes of Dundee's, try to get him on to maybe find that some sort of goal. And if that goes in with his knee or his chest, just something to get him, on his feet and running. But I feel like Bojan Miovski, if he doesn't get a good run of games, he's never going to find the confidence as well. So it's about balancing the two of them. But no, definitely, Rangers need to find some sort of confidence in front of goal. And when your right back's your top scorer, although he's on set pieces, it's very worrying. Very, very worrying in November.
Absolutely, it's a long time, still a long time to go. Don't get me wrong, but it's a long time into the season. Strikers should be off and flying by now.
Yeah, and we spoke about Mikey Moore briefly there. I think he's been great under Danny Rhol. It's a completely different player, and he came out himself in a recent press conference against Dundee on Sunday and says, "Yeah, maybe I wasn't living up to the standards." And obviously, there was like a £20 million player. Is he too young? But I think he's been absolutely fantastic. Um, Under Danny Rhol. Maybe against Roma, a bit underwhelming. But again, one man doesn't win you the game. I think for the first half an hour against Dundee was exceptional, and there looks like a real bit of determination from the young lad. But no, 100%. Telo Asgard.
When he came in, I'd seen clips of him before, just before he joined Rangers, when it was nothing but a rumour. Definitely hoped he'd be the player he is. You've definitely seen sparks of it. You've seen sparks of determination. You've seen some incredible footwork. Um, Scored a lovely goal for us. I think he, like a lot of them, just need to find their feet, and I think when they do, that's when the confidence will start coming out. Um, it's just hard to compete when players like Gassama come in. He was full of confidence right from the start, and it's hard to for some players to come in a place and get that confidence. It does take time, which I'm willing to see out and let that time happen.
Yeah, well, Asgard, a Norwegian international, came from Luton Town. Look, I think again, it's just the confidence. I think there's a player in there, definitely, but it's just about where suits him best. Obviously, Moore's more preferring to play centrally, but Moore's came out and says that he'll play anywhere in the park as long as he's playing. And I just feel like there's so many players in that squad that just need a wee bit of confidence to get their full potential at them. The likes of Jerry Gassama, the goal against Dundee might bring him that bit of confidence that he had at the start because okay, he comes in during the Champions League qualifiers, he was banging them in, but he was off the boil for a wee bit. But again, it's just one of the ones. Is Jerry Gassama going to be consistent for you week after week?
I'd like to see it. Definitely, it's something I would love to see him flying in goals every weekend. But it's just the nature of football. Like some players get through stages where they just can't find the goal, and hopefully that goal against Dundee's kind of bring back his spark a bit.
Yeah, well, we'll just need to wait and see. Obviously, the international break at the moment, but there's a lot of important games coming up for Rangers, so that moves us on to our next point: upcoming challenges and opportunities. Um, Look, I'll start off with the depth of the squad. We just spoke about the Europa League. Um, the club needs to prioritise domestic results, I think, and build some sort of momentum. Hearts dropping points at the weekend there as well. The league's not out of sight, and I think Rangers, if look, it's really difficult to balance Europe and your domestic games, but I do think the domestic is really important this season.
Absolutely, I think the most important thing for us is to keep flying up domestically, and definitely improvement there. But yeah, again, there's always room for improvement. It goes back to that saying. But we could definitely catch up. Personally, I don't see Hearts keeping this pace up for the full season. Celtic going through a bit of trouble themselves regarding the managers. I think this is the perfect time to capitalise on a problem like that and try and get up to second or first or second place.
Yeah, well, the next big matches at home and away will test the consistency of the team. And I'll just use, for example, they need to maintain the away form as well. The away form seen at Dundee and Hibs, I'll speak about it again. Fantastic to leave with a clean sheet. And it's so important that your defence is tight away from home because all it takes is one goal and you're behind straight away. And we've seen it so often with Rangers so far this season. As soon as one goal goes in, it just looks like the team collapse.
Absolutely. It's not something you ever like to see is a team giving up, but unfortunately, it has been a lot of what we've had to deal with this season. Happened quite a lot of games. Livingston, for example, we were lucky to get points that we did there. Um, but I think we just need to keep fighting. If we go down, we go down. But yeah, that's kind of the nature of football. But there's always room to come back.
Yeah, I agree with you again. I'll give you a quick question. Um, what would you like to see? Realistically, what targets would you like to see from Rangers? What targets would you like Rangers to set this season? What would you like to see out of the team this season?
Personally, I'd like from the team, I'd like to see more of the same as what we've seen at Hibs, what we've seen at Dundee. Definitely more of that, but at the same time, I think honestly at this rate, I would be happy with second place again, just because we don't from the start we've not deserved the league. Yes, we're fighting back, but are we going to keep consistent this like the way we've been the full season? I don't think that's a problem Rangers have always struggled with is their consistency, unfortunately.
Yeah, so would you prefer what you're saying there's you'd prefer to do better domestically rather than going deep in Europe?
Absolutely. I think from the start of this season, it's more important to prove that the start of the season was nothing more than just a mistake, um, and just get back to where we usually would be, and then push for Europe next season.
Okay, perfect. We'll move on to fan reaction. And a main talking point was after the match on Sunday there with Danny Rhol. 3-0 away. Fantastic result and a decent performance to say the least. But there was a few pundits and a few supporters that were questioning Danny Rhole's celebrations after the match. Can I have your opinion on that, please?
Honestly, I was hoping you were going to bring this subject up because this is something I wanted to talk about. And yeah, you seen it with Steven Gerrard. He went up, applauded the fans, made them excited. Barry Ferguson, the exact same. Just to name a couple of examples right there. Danny Rose just trying to bring the excitement back to the fans. We've been punished a lot at the start of the season. He's just trying to give us a reason to be excited again, and I believe he is doing that. He's just, especially 2 days in charge against Brann, he came up, applauded the fans, apologised. I don't believe it was his fault, but I just believe that's the kind of guy he is, like trying to get the fans excited because they've not had much of a reason to this season, and I respect it.
Yeah, well, obviously it's great to see the manager have so much passion, but I spoke with a few people yesterday and after the match on Sunday, and they've said to me, well, put it this way, you should be going to Dens Park and leaving with 3 points, which is true. But again, at the same point, you need to see some sort of collectability between the team and, a bit of bonding. And these things, they create passion. But again, you've been beat by Roma, you've been put out by Celtic in the cup. Is it bad optics at the time? I suppose it's just your opinion, but do you feel after the Roma and the Celtic game it was a good decision to celebrate like that?
It's a fine line. Like he's done what he thought was right. He's back to winning ways. He's happy about that. The fans are happy about that. There's 2 games we could have got a result from. Celtic should have got a result from. None of us have been good form. That was something to be disappointed about. Roma, that was another disappointment. He's just after 2 disappointments in a row, it's getting to a point where he is just trying to make them happy. Like he's just trying to set the standard, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, he's got the international break now, and he can go away, and I would say, think about what's happened. It's been a whirlwind of 2 weeks. It's went in so quickly. There's been so many fixtures. in this 2 weeks, or just that wee bit of time, will give him and his staff a wee bit of breathing space to, and he said it himself, to go through what's been good so far, what's been bad, what needs improved, and most importantly, what will be the best way to progress with this Rangers team.
Personally, the best way to progress, as I said, more of the same, but keep the defence tight. We need to stop sleeping at the back. That's one of my big things. Taking all the chances we're presented, that's a big thing in any league in football. You'll be punished if you don't take your chances. Definitely need to be tight at the back. Stop sleeping. You gave examples earlier with Celtic sleeping at the back. The second goal against Roma, that was a great goal by Roma. Not to take that away from them, but could we have done better with that? Yes, definitely.
Okay, well, we'll move on to my own analysis and takeaways, and we'll see if you agree with me. So I've took some notes down over the past few weeks of Danny Rhol being in the rain, and I'll read it out to you. So my positives were the away win at Dundee and Hibs is a strong sign. Obviously, it's a new coach settling in, and there's been some clear performance improvements, which I've been most impressed about.
Absolutely, there's definitely been a lot of improvement. There's still had the mistakes, don't get me wrong. It's going to happen with any team experiencing a manager change. But for me, it's definitely been more positive than negative just now.
Yeah, well, we'll move on to negatives here. I put down the negatives as the European form remains poor, the cup exit to Celtic, and the ongoing distractions like the refereeing decisions. Obviously, the refereeing decisions are out with our control and Danny Rhole's control. But it's really poor. VAR's been brought in, and it has to do its job properly. As I said, if Tello Asgard's is a red, for me, Austin Trusty's is a red. But again, it's in the past, and you can't really do anything about it now.
Absolutely, I think that's what some of the Rangers squad need to realise. Like, what's in the past is past. There's nothing they can do about it except move on, improve as a team, and keep fighting for results.
Okay, well, I've got another question. Do you believe this is the turning point of the season under Roll, or another one of consolidation for next year?
Well, don't get me wrong, I'd say the same as any Rangers fan. I certainly hope it is a turning point. It's been a long time coming. As we've kind of touched on earlier, the 49ers, we were promised a lot of big things from them. And since then, it's kind of been downhill. But I'm hoping this is definitely the start of another uphill. We're going to definitely start doing better, in my opinion. There's definitely a lot of upsides, a lot of positives. Don't get me wrong, as you've touched on, there is a lot of negatives, but for me, it's up from here.
Okay, well, to conclude, we'll go over the main points. The big away win versus Dundee gives us hope going into the international break, gives the Rangers supporters a lot of hope. The European elimination, it looks likely after that Roma loss. Very, very difficult to go to Porto and for Braga to come to Ibrox and get points. We've seen the quality that they have, but never say never. The cup exit, obviously, we spoke about that and the disappointing result. But the final thoughts, I think if Rangers build on positive signs that we've seen in drips and drabs so far under Roll, improve the consistency, the away consistency, keeping the clean sheets, keeping that defence tight, and most importantly, getting the three strikers up and running. I think they can position themselves strongly for the rest of the season if everyone's in it together and they've got the same attitude.
Absolutely. If they work as a team, I don't see why not. They can't. I don't see why they can't push for the league. I just said there we've got Braga, Roma, Ludogorets teams. For me, this is the tougher half of a European campaign so far. Um, So we definitely should have picked up points before, but now, as we've touched on, what's done is done. They need to move on as a team and try and get results to hopefully stay in Europe this season.
Well, that's all we've got today, Jack. Thank you very much for your time. Have you enjoyed it?
I have enjoyed it. Thanks very much for asking me to come on.
Not a problem at all. And make sure to subscribe, leave comments on what you think. This is the 90th minute. I hope you've enjoyed the first podcast, and here's to many more. Thank you very much. Thank you.